Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's your host, Joe Slepsky, and this is the only podcast where we watch every episode of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, in sequential order and comment on it Mystery Science style. This week, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a doozy. This episode, if you know what it is, you know what you're in for. And to help me get through this sometimes painful, definitely cartoonish episode of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, is a new friend of mine. He is a writer. He writes comic books. You may have read some of his stuff, such as Go Power Rangers. His name is Ryan Parrott. Ryan, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'm sorry to foist this episode on you.
I'm excited. I don't know nothing about what's about to happen.
Oh yeah. We're literally recording that, and we're gonna play it back at the end of the show so you can hear it. You could within the span of a half hour, your temperature will change, my friend.
Yeah. This was A.V.A.C, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Ryan, you're an LA-based writer.
Yes.
You're currently writing Go Power Rangers for Boom. You've written in the past. You've written a bunch of Star Trek comics. You've written for Starfleet Academy, Star Trek Manifest Destiny, Star Trek Boldly Go. You co-wrote on Gates of Gotham. And on TV, you've also done some TV work. You worked on the show Revolution.
Right, yeah. Wow, when you label it all like that, it sounds like I've been writing a lot when it really doesn't feel like that at all.
You got a little bit of a good, nice, fun resume.
I got a little bit of resume. I'll take it. That's the first time it's been written out like that. I like it. It's cool. No, I've been out here I went to college at Chapman in Orange County, and I've been up in LA, I guess, for like 10 years now. And
where are you from originally?
I'm from Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
It was cool. Vegas was like it was everybody always asked like what's it like growing up there, and it's just like Orange County with slot machines. It's really not a big deal. Except I did have my prom at Liberace's mansion, which was kind of cool.
That's fascinating. And real quick, so it's just like growing up in Orange County. Did someone constantly punch you in the face and say "Welcome to the LV"? Just like in "Welcome to the OC."
No.
Remember the show The OC?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that commercial we saw a million times.
Yeah.
Who was actually Jim? It was Jim Gordon, I believe, from Gotham.
That's right.
Getting punched in the face by the kid with the black curly hair.
Yeah, behind the orange curtain. Right?
Yeah. And he's welcome to the OC, beer. So that didn't happen to you.
Vegas was apparently far less dangerous than Orange County. Okay. Yes.
Liberace's house.
Yes.
Tell me that story. That was your prom?
Yeah, it was our prom. It was very cool. They I guess when he passed away, they like rented out for dances.
Uh-huh.
And you take a limo. We all went to this one location, and then their limo picks you up and drives you out there, and you come in. And the crazy thing, if there's that movie Behind the Candelabra.
Yes.
So we were
amazing film.
Yeah, they shot that at the actual mansion. So as we're watching the movie, I literally was pointing out to my fiance. I'm like, that's where I did. That's where we danced. That's where we took photos. That's where we did, because it's like and the entire mansion is all mirrors on the ceiling, on the floor.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
But it was a fun place that's the one perk.
That's
of
crazy.
Vegas. Yeah,
that's absolutely crazy. Was Scotty Thorson there?
Scotty Thorson.
That was Liberace's.
Oh God, no! I didn't know his name.
To look like him, boy toy.
Yes, he's still around. He's got to be.
Oh no,
around.
He's still alive.
He is.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah. He's. I remember reading about him during when the movie was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So all I want in life is someone to take footage from Ant-Man with Michael Douglas playing Hank Pym, saying Scotty, and then cut to Scotty Thorson, or vice versa. Because somehow there's a mashup between him as Liberace saying Scotty and Hank Pym calling Scott Lang Scotty. That there's some comedy there that has yet to be mined, and I need someone who like a Funny or Die person to put this together. Because that would be absolutely brilliant.
That would make Ant-Man infinitely more watchable. Not that it's not watchable now,
I agree with
infinitely more watchable.
I totally agree with you. Or at least just audio dubbing in the movie every time he says like, "Hey Scott, I know you could steal my suit." Be like, "Hey Scotty."
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
so
that's what I want.
Do that.
That's what I want. So you came out here and were your first jobs on TV?
Yeah, I had PA jobs. Like I think it was on like the Chris Kattan show was my first job. Yeah, I didn't even get past pilot.
Was he constantly eating apples at a rapid pace?
Yes, and standing on furniture. Absolutely. No, it was weird. It was a show about like a Tampa Bay sports journalist who doesn't understand that he knows nothing about sports. And it was just like, it was about him falling apart his life. It was very odd.
Okay.
But I did that, and I worked at these very sort of off the cuff place. I think I actually weird thing. I worked for a guy named Strath Hamilton who actually directed the pilot of Power Rangers. The one that never aired. There's the one that's at the bowling alley, and then there's the one that they reshot and became the actual pilot.
Really?
So in a weird sort of synchronicity, I ended up working for the guy who directed that. That was was my But yeah, those were my first jobs, and then I ended up being a nanny for a few years and writing around.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Actually,
For any famous people?
Oh, they're about to be, because both the kids that I nannied for are currently playing in AAA baseball. One plays for the Rangers and one plays for the Brewers. And they have one actually is he's playing in spring training right now.
That's great. What's her name?
Scott Heineman. Scotty.
Hey, Scotty.
Scott Heineman and Tyler Heineman. Those are they're one's a catcher and one's a right fielder. They're very, very good.
That's very
cool. And I taught them everything.
Yeah,
they
of
know.
course you did.
Absolutely
I could see.
everything,
I could just see it. I could see it right in your eyes. You get that baseball, that 90-yard stare.
That's why they hired me. They're like, he seems like he's 5'10" and he doesn't know and very unathletic. He could probably teach.
Yeah, you still on good terms with them?
Oh yeah, I love them. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, they're great kids.
So, what point do you get hired on Revolution? So, Revolution, you listeners.
Oh yeah,
remember that show? It was a show about power leaving everywhere. So tell us, what was the premise and what was that?
Well, I after being a nanny, I somehow managed to work my way at Bad Robot, and I ended up working for J.J. Abrams.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's exactly the way you do it. You go from nanny to J.J. Abrams assistant. That's the show. Yeah. But I did that for 2 years, and while I was there, we did all this television. We did Person of Interest, and
what'd you do for him? Like
I was assistant.
Stuff?
Yeah, I was assistant. Yeah, yep. I got his coffee and dry cleaning and all that stuff.
Is Lost Years or post Lost?
This was right. This was Star Trek Into Darkness.
Okay,
and Super 8.
So we can blame you for Into Darkness.
You can. I plead the fifth on that. There's some good stuff in that movie.
There's a lot to like.
The opening in that movie is fantastic.
There's a lot to like. Quite a bit about that movie.
Yes,
quite a bit about that movie.
Yeah, I know.
But we won't go off.
No, it's fine. No, I was.
Is that how you got the Star Trek writing gigs?
Yes, actually. Yeah. Well, I was already doing. So I was already writing. So my friend Kyle Higgins, I went to college with him, and so
Kyle's great, really talented writer. You guys probably know him most from his Nightwing stuff. He wrote some New 52, Deathstroke, and Nightwing. He's currently writing the other Power Rangers title for Boom, just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He did a wonderful series called Cowl that I don't think it got enough attention that it deserved. It was indie through Image. It was about not criminals. It was about superheroes in Chicago, mid 60s, I think mid late 60s, and dealing with if superheroes unionized and dealing with like the Chicago crime scene and unions and politics, and he's really smart.
Yeah, I actually met him. We were in college, and I written a short film for a friend of mine that was directing. And I was just on set wandering around, and he was doing sound for it, and he had his laptop open, and there was like superhero stuff going on. I was like, "What are you doing over there?" He's like, "Oh, this is my short film, The League." And so I was like, "Oh, you made a superhero short film," and so we just became friends immediately. And then when we both moved up here, we just kept talking and stuff like that. And so The League is what Cal was based on. He ended up making a comic series out of. It's loosely, I think some of the same characters there, but it's very. It's. I think you can actually see it on his website. But So Kyle, when I was a JJ's assistant, Kyle was writing the New 52 stuff for DC, and he had just gotten into. He was finishing up the Gates of Gotham miniseries, and he was like, I can't do both at the same time. And since he'd basically already pitched me the whole series, he was like, you're a writer? You want to come in and do this? And I was like, sure. And so I came in and I helped finish off that series for him. And that's sort of, and then because I did that, the people at Bad Robot were like, oh, wow, you wrote like a real book. Yeah. And so like, we're doing the Star Trek series. Would you be interested in doing that? And I was like, absolutely. Because I grew up the first thing I ever wrote, my first spec ever was a Deep Space Nine.
Nice.
Just for fun. It was the pitch was that the Borg, an offshoot of the Borg, we're not going to talk about G.I. Joe at all, right?
Called the Porg.
The Porg, yes. No, remember are you Trekkie?
You know what? Yes, I am. So,
okay,
so somewhat. My wife refers to me as late life Trekkie.
Oh, good. But anyways, I did. The pitch was that the Borg come to Deep Space Nine to try and assimilate Odo because they can't assimilate any shapeshifters, and that was the little pitch.
Oh, okay.
And then you get the Borg against Cisco again, which would have been fun. It was the first thing I ever wrote at 16, and I loved it. Anyways, long story short. So that was my pitch to Brian. I was like, yes, I love Star Trek. Please let me do this. And then I got to work with Mike Johnson, who I think he wrote like almost 100 issues of Star Trek.
Cool.
He's done a great job. And I got to work with him, and I did one issue with him, and then he was like, you're good at this. Let's keep working together. And we ended up doing a whole bunch of miniseries together, and we just finished the series, or not finished, but I just helped him finish off Bully Go last month. So it's been fun. That's how I got into comics in a weird way. I was doing that.
Yeah.
It's very like sort of lily pad approach.
So funny. I've seen it said about comic books. As soon as you kick open a door in a comic book, that door closes immediately. Like there's no one way to do what you want to do.
Oh yeah,
like you just keep plugging away and do it.
I think that's the part of all writing. It's just like at this point, it's like it seems like every opportunity that you jumped in by the next generation is gonna not have that opportunity, but they'll find like there was no YouTube when I was around, and now there's like it's just crazy how it like I said, it's sort of like whack-a-mole with different like where you reach your hands. It's like nope, there, nope, okay,
it's got to keep moving.
Yeah, it's like I said, be a nanny and then become JJ's assistant. That's the way you do it. Yeah,
be a nanny to professional future ball player prospects.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a very narrow window.
Very small.
It's a very narrow window. Like, we'd like to interview you for the nanny spot. And be like, first of all, let me see what kind of arm your child has. Your kid throws like a cis. Yeah. Come on, get out of here.
Is he a switch hitter? Because I'm not taking this job otherwise.
So currently in Go-Go Power Rangers, you guys are about to launch, or have you launched it? Has it started? There's a big, massive crossover?
Yeah. Coming up next month is, I think next month, maybe it's end of March or something. We're doing this big event called Shattered Grid.
Okay.
So Kyle writes Mighty Morphin. He's been writing it for over the last 2 years, and I just started Go-Go Power Rangers, which I've been writing for about a year. So yeah, coming up at the end of the month, there's this event called Shattered Grid, and it's an event that takes place over 2 series. Kyle writes Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for like the last 2.5 years, and I've just started Go-Go Power Rangers, which has been about a year. And it's basically sort of this big event that up to this point in Power Rangers, the comics have only sort of focused on the first Power Rangers, the original Mighty Morphin. But most people don't know this, is that Power Rangers has been around for 25 years.
Yeah, and they keep giving you new versions of them.
And it never left the air. It's like Doctor Who in America. It just keeps going, and people really don't know about it. So there's a whole bunch of fans out there that have all of their favorite, like, I love this group and I love this season, and each season's a new group of people. So for the event, we're actually bringing in a lot of those. We're sort of doing this big sort of war kind of thing, and we're bringing in a lot of the Rangers from the other seasons.
It's a crisis on multiple Rangers.
Exactly. That's probably a really good way to pitch it.
Great.
Yeah. So it'll be a big thing at that, and the weird thing is my series takes place right after. It's right after the pilot, so it's like the smaller. It's basically like sort of like these small, sort of very tiny character stories that take place over, in between the first season. It's sort of. I literally wrote an issue that had them in the actual Mighty Morphin Power Ranger outfits for like 2 panels.
Okay.
That's the level of like, it's very Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind
cool.
of stuff, which is fun.
So yours is set in the TV continuity, or because there was a recent movie?
Yeah, they're both set in the TV continuity. Yeah,
okay.
These are about these don't have anything to do with the movie.
What's your favorite Ranger to write?
And
I'm not a massive Ranger. In fact, I think on Pablo Romero Estevez's episode, we talked a little about Rangers, and I'm on record saying I kind of hate them.
Right? No, it's all right.
No, but it's just because it wasn't my jam.
Yeah, I was
in my late teens, and I was like, what is this?
Exactly. I was kind of in your boat. Like, I had just gotten to the point. I think I was just becoming a teenager, and I was like fighting girls and stuff like that. And so Power Rangers had just missed me.
But I know there's this rich history there, and I absolutely respect that. But I don't know a lot of about it.
No.
So which one? Who really connects with you?
When I had to go back and sort of watch him again, because it was like it's sort of like with G.I. Joe a little bit. Like, you vaguely they become this haze. Like, they all become one episode where you kind of remember what happened, and that's how Power Rangers was. I was like, I kind of remember that Amy Jo Johnson was awesome, but Billy was sort of the guy I really liked. He was sort of the nerd who was the nerd in overalls.
What color Ranger is he?
He was blue. He was the Blue Ranger. Yeah,
okay.
the nerdy Blue Ranger. That was my guy.
Okay.
But actually, like, looking back, Amy Jo Johnson, like, she actually had a career. She was on Felicity, and like she did great. But like, she was the best on that show.
And a bunch of Rangers have like murdered people and stuff. Haven't they? Like,
one of them killed his roommate.
Yeah,
I think. I hope that's not. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, there's one of them in jail for. Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of them.
You know what? When you work with that many kid actors.
Oh yeah.
I mean, work with 2 kid actors, there's a good chance something bad's going to happen.
They just keep extending the talent pool. They're just like, we're going to see how many people we can get here.
Yeah, Power Rangers is the superhero Menudo. Yeah, we know that. We know that. So let's talk G.I. Joe a little bit. So did you grow up with it? What was your Joe experience?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like, I got into it in like 85, 86.
Yeah,
like, that was sort of the heyday. Yeah.
Good stuff.
My first I had them all, man. I literally had so many of, like, I didn't have the original series. I had sort of like the first 13 or something, but like the second or third groups.
You were like the Flint era.
Even after that, I was more like the movie. And, like, okay. I had Tunnel Rat, and I had so like the ones I had, I loved. My first 2 ever were Zartan or Zaywan and Tomax. Those were the first 2 awesome. I had. The Crimson Twins, who were the best. Those
so great.
Amazing. Yes.
They're so great.
We should do this entire podcast like them and just
yes,
we will do that
today. We will.
It's so awesome. Yeah, but I had them. I had Muskrat, and I had I had a lot of the vehicle guys. I had was it Cross Country? I had him.
Yeah,
like I had
yeah.
all those guys.
You know what's funny? Then you might some of the guys on these episodes might be your era then.
Oh, good.
Because post movie, there was about a year or two between the movie and then this show hitting the air.
Mm-hmm.
And so within those toy lines, some of those guys didn't get a lot of representation on any cartoon.
Yeah.
And some of them bleed into this.
Well,
So this is like the 1990 era and 89.
Okay.
And a couple dudes from 88 show up on these shows.
Oh, cool.
So there might be some guys that are in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, because like I remember it was kind of frustrating because like all of the toys I had weren't the ones on the show. Like it was they were like the in between. They were not the first group, and they weren't the guys in the movie. So I had those middle range guys, and I was like, "Who are these?" Like I didn't know who they were. I had like Roadblock, but I had like Roadblock version 2. Right. Like he had all the, and I was like, that's not the outfit.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like that's the stuff that I love. I loved them so much because I thought the size was perfect. Like you could just hand like I'll be honest, man. I had like a G.I. Joe in college. Like I had one left.
That's great.
That was like in my desk that I would just occasionally like like it was just there. I just
love that.
never let go of it.
I love that. Well, they said that the size for the Star Wars figures, which kicked off the 3 3/4 phase, the guy that I forget what his name was, but the guy that was running Kenner or whatever, took his hand, said, I want it to fit into my hand.
Perfect.
And that's the perfect size for the action figure, and that's what created the 3 3/4 line.
Yeah, and that's the reason. I think to me, that's why I love G.I. Joe so much. Like my dad always tells the story. My dad's a football coach, and so he always I actually told him I was going to do this, and he was just like, "Oh, that's awesome." He was like, "I remember teaching you football with G.I. Joe figures."
Oh,
like
yeah.
he literally put them out, and it was like, "Okay, here's the center, and here's the guards," and he literally laid them all out. So my first image at like 4 or 5 years old was like, "Oh, these." I sort of associate G.I. Joes with football.
Oh, that's great.
Enough.
Well,
Yeah.
Captain Gridiron's on this episode.
There we go. Yeah. Wasn't there a guy also? There was another guy that was sports.
Well, the Fridge.
There's Fridge.
The Fridge was one, and Bazooka wore the football jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
And Captain Gridiron wears a football helmet. Like he's suffering severe brain damage.
The thing about G.I. Joes that I think I loved the most was the fact that I didn't. That's what it says. I got really creative in the sense that like I remember the minute I realized you could put a screwdriver in the back and you could take the screwdriver and you can pull them apart, you could make your own.
Oh,
and
that's
so
cool.
I remember I don't know if it was the Battle Android Trooper or not, but I do remember taking pieces of him apart and giving Duke like a bionic. No, it wasn't Duke. It was like Muskrat, like a bionic arm.
That's great.
Like that was the stuff, and I was like,
great.
oh, he blew it off in combat.
They call that kit bashing.
Yeah, that was really fun. Like I remember my dad was a dentist, so he would like have all the little tools, and I would go into his office and I would just take apart my G.I. Joes and just make new ones. The problem is if you did it too many times, it started to get a little wobbly.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I remember the ones that lasted were the ones that the great thing about the rubber band was that they were so flexible, but that when there's no greater sadness than when you're playing with G.I. Joe and you knew it was getting like loose, and then one day it just fell apart,
crumbles in your hand. Yeah,
it was the saddest moment ever.
Do you still have your figures?
I don't.
Okay, because you can repair them. There's a whole underground for this.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not even that underground. I say that like it's like a secret society. Oh yeah, use what's called plumber O-rings, and they're little black O-rings, and that's pretty much there's a specific size you get and thickness too, because the early Joes had used a different thickness than some of the later ones. Yeah, I don't exactly recall if the early ones were thicker or thinner or whatever, but they did change.
Okay,
so the dimensions are just if you put the wrong one in, the character's just a little too tight. But it's just like you were doing. You unscrew it, then you hook the leg piece. It's got a little plastic hook, and you hook it over the where the screw goes in. So the hard plastic.
Yeah, like that's
screw.
the heart area, right?
Yeah, it's got like a hook on the back. You just hook the O-ring over that, clamp it shut, and the character like pops back to life.
Oh my god!
It's in seeing it, it's such a brilliant design of a toy.
Yeah,
it's almost like a marionette where when you like if you pick up a marionette and you pull all the strings, you see them like pop to life.
Yeah.
As soon as you snap the back in place, the Joe figure, the arms get tight, the legs get like pops up.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
So you can repair all of them. So
man.
I've still got all my figures. I've sold some of the vehicles and stuff to kind of make room because they can take up some space.
Yeah.
And I repaired all the O-rings just because I didn't want to see them broken anymore.
I know it's that.
I don't play with them.
Who was do you have like a favorite? Yeah,
character? I mean, I'm a Snake Eyes guy.
Did you watch the thing on Netflix about like the
toys that made us? Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about how they had to cut costs.
Oh yeah,
that's the coolest story ever.
It's the greatest.
Have you? I'm sure you've done like 1,000 times on this, right?
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little bit. Yeah, it's the greatest. In fact, hold on one second. Okay, so we're back. So Ryan, I want to show you something, and listeners, here's the reveal. I'm going to be revealing these on my Instagram. I'll do some pictures on there. We're also going to be putting up on Patreon. So if you guys don't know, I've started a Patreon for the show. If you go to patreon.com/JoeOnJoePod, check it out. For the first level of patronage, you get full access to all the back catalog of Joe on Joe. If you guys maybe checked out the RSS feed, I've pulled a bunch of my early episodes off. We're going to be putting them back on. I need to put some vocal rappers on those episodes. So they're going to be, a lot of them are going to be back available, but I want to give some exclusives to my patrons. And so they're going to be back up in a little bit. But for now, you go to patreon.com/JoeOnJoePod and you get full access to the whole catalog of Joe on Joe. Plus, I've started a whole second podcast called Joe on Joe Illustrated, where I am breaking down, I'm doing the Joe on Joe treatment onto comic books. I just released issue number 2 when we're recording this. By the time this airs, we should have by the time this airs, I'm thinking I should have 6 or 7 episodes out of this. But as of this recording, I've got 2 episodes out for patrons only. And I go page by page, and I drop severe comic book knowledge. I'm calling it a master's class in G.I. Joe comic books.
Oh, awesome.
We break down the design of the page. We go into detail on the history of the inkers. And if there's one thing I know, it's comic books. Like I love G.I. Joe, and I've said on the show a million times, I'm a huge fan. I'm just not an expert. I'm a comic book expert. I've got my bona fides. So it's a really fun breakdown. Maybe we'll have you back and do an episode of that.
Totally,
and we go through page by page, panel by panel.
One of the first comics I ever had is the G.I. Joe issue that has Medic hanging upside down from the parachute.
Oh yeah, Lifeline. Yeah, it's a special.
Lifeline.
It's a special missions issue.
It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite covers of all time.
Yeah, we're going to be doing those too. So that's all on Patreon. So please just go check it out. And if you want to be a patron, that'd be awesome. We would love to have you on. It's going to be growing. We're going to be adding stuff as time goes on. And as long as you're on the internet, check me out on Twitter at Joe on Joe Pod. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And you can find Ryan at Ryan Parrott, and Parrott spelled like the bird.
Yeah.
So please,
with an extra T. By the way.
With an extra T. Oh, is there only one T in the word parrot?
Yeah, there's only one T. It's like
there's
carrot.
only one T in the word parrot?
Yeah, like carrot and tarot.
I guess I don't spell parrot.
Parrot,
for a show with a parrot, you'd think I'd know what a parrot's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ryan Parrott with 2 T's.
Yeah.
So find him on Twitter. Let him know you enjoy his interview. And now, Ryan, we're going to go through. I'm going to show you what I got, ladies and gentlemen. I've recently come into acquisition of some amazing G.I. Joe artifacts. So we're going to be teasing them out over the Instagram so you guys can get good pictures of them. But Ryan, you're the first person to lay eyes on them.
Oh my gosh!
I've got a box here. I've got a box here of carded Joes from 1982, 83, and 84.
Oh my gosh!
First off, now what they really are, technically, if you were going to trade them, they're actually open. They're loose figures, but the previous owner had very carefully taped them back on the board.
Wow!
So I've got
yeah. complete
boards. And it's almost can't even see it on some.
They even have
figures.
The price tags on them.
They have the price tags on them. They're fantastic. They're in such great shape, and he didn't play with them that much.
How are these not brown? Like how are these not water
There's
something?
only one of them. Only one of them has yellowing in the plastic.
Oh my gosh!
They're in such great shape. I'm so happy with it. Mike, if you hear this, thank you so much. You're the man. I love this. So we've got. Let's see. Who do we got here? We've got. That is Flash. We've got Short Fuse.
Wow.
We've got Tripwire. What's really cool about this, these are actually some of the characters I never really had when I was a kid. So it even actually fills holes for me.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I didn't know Scarlet wasn't Scarlet's real name until recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, of course it's not a real
Major
name.
Blood.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about having a bionic arm.
Uh-huh.
We've got Torpedo.
These are fantastic.
Stalker. Original OG Stalker, who I never had.
Maybe not the greatest name in hindsight.
Yeah, I know that's when we did an episode of the PSAs and he was on it, and to my wife I had to explain, I'm like, yeah, because that guy, his name is Stalker, and she goes, they named the black guy Stalker. That's great.
And we're thinking
that's
that one
great.
through.
Here's Scarlet.
Oh wow, these are you literally have the originals. These are amazing.
Oh yeah. Wow. Here's a rock and roll. Here is Destro.
Oh, yeah. See, I never had this Destro. I had Gold Head Destro.
Oh, yeah,
the one that came with the action.
Sure. And here is the champion of them all. Snake Eyes.
The original Snake Eyes?
OG Snake Eyes.
Oh, my gosh.
Look at the shape he's in.
I
all
know.
these guys, they all got their thumbs. They got everything.
Wow.
I'm so excited.
I love that they thought that this was the one that no one would want.
Yeah. Oh, he's not even on the cover of the first comic book.
Oh my gosh.
The first comic book does not have Snake Eyes on the cover.
Because you know what the coolest thing about him was? I know it's cool that he's all black and that he looks so cool. It was the fact that you didn't get his name. It was classified.
Yes.
Like there's something that you were like as a kid. Because I remember reading the back of these and just being like, what? These are incredible. And then I remember being classified. I was like, he's the only one they don't tell you. What does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, and then as the comics went on, so as we're digging into on Joe and Joe Illustrated, in like the second issue is when they reveal that he's got his face all messed up.
Yeah.
You know? And then in the third issue, they say there's just a throwaway line about like Snake Eyes is in it, but he doesn't do much. But they reference that he carries something in this boot that the Geneva Convention would flip about. Like, and I'm like, what? Like, this dude is bad.
Yeah. That's the brilliance of like G.I. Joe. I think that's the thing that they didn't understand was that they were like, oh, people just want generic characters. But then they started realizing, no, we can create actual mythology. And then oh my gosh.
And the final figure in the box, still in the box. Now the plastic bag has been opened, but again, just like these other ones, he is as cherry as they come. See the file card is cherry.
God.
In the box, mail away Cobra Commander with the faceplate Cobra Commander.
Wow.
I mean,
oh man,
it's insane.
I'm gonna be honest. I never thought I would ever hold one of these before.
Yeah,
I never thought.
It's crazy. And look at the box. Look at how that's shipped. It's shipped with the word stamped on it, G.I. Joe Cobra Commander. Like, it was a different time.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's broadcasting, hey, here's a box with a G.I. Joe toy in it, which I guess wasn't a big deal.
Here's the other dumb thing. They feel smaller, and I just realized because when I was a kid, my hands were smaller.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so dumb.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. That is so cool.
I've also got some vehicles that were a part of it. We've got in the box, unopened in the box. Unopened in the box. The Snake battle armor, the flak cannon, a Ram motorcycle, and a Fang helicopter.
Oh my god. Okay, I could never find the two things I always wanted was the Fang helicopter and the Trouble Bubble. And I could never find a Trouble Bubble.
Look at this, the Cobra Commander. It's even got the join the G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force team. It's for the fan club.
Oh wow.
It's the membership kit for the fan club. So you would send in does it say how much? It send checks or money? $5.
That's it? Wow.
You would send in $5, and they would send you a dog tag, a military web belt, a plastic Joe membership card, a wall poster, an iron-on emblem, an introductory newsletter, and an annual G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force newsletter with news about the team and special offers for $5.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, on his card, does it say his origin or anything? Is Cobra Law involved in it?
No, definitely not Cobra Law. His file card, absolute power, total control of the world, his people, wealth, and resources. That's the objective of Cobra Commander. This fanatical leader rules with an iron fist. He demands total loyalty and allegiance. His main battle plan for world control relies on revolution and chaos. He personally led uprisings in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and other trouble spots. Responsible for kidnapping scientists, businessmen, and military leaders, then forcing them to reveal their top secrets.
Wow.
Quote, Cobra Commander is hatred and evil personified, corrupt, a man without scruples, probably the most dangerous man alive.
Pretty good.
Which is really cool. That last quote, listeners, if you guys know, there is a story on Kindle Worlds, and it's written by Buzz Dixon, and it is a origin story for Cobra Commander and for Cobra that he wanted to do as an episode of the show, but they ended up doing the movie instead and introducing Cobra Law, and they never let him tell the story.
Oh, wow.
And the story is called The Most Dangerous Man in the World.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's about...
Where can you read that on Kindle?
It's on Kindle Worlds,
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's like those. It's like that fanfic Kindle section. And it's a cool story. I'll probably end up doing an episode about it, but in a nutshell, it is Cobra Commander has all this time has kept a dude in prison for years, and he escapes, and no one knows why he's so important. And he's just an old, unassuming dude. And as you read the story, you learn that it's just all psychological stuff, that he's the real brains behind how Cobra rose to power. And cool. Cobra Commander never would have wanted.
It's like an evil version of like, what is it, Count of Monte Cristo kind of thing.
Yes, it's exactly that.
Oh, that's
exactly,
cool. That's awesome.
It's pretty great. Yeah, it's a really good story. So check that out. So Ryan,
dude, these are incredible.
This is crazy,
like,
right?
These are things I never thought I would ever see. Like,
right?
They're behind glass at like museums.
Dude, when my friend said this to me, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yes.
And they're all they're in such great shape. shape.
They're in amazing shape. They're in amazing shape. So listeners, be on the lookout. So make sure you follow me on Instagram because we're gonna be posting pictures of these real soon. We're literally waiting today for the cases to be delivered. So if we get a doorbell interruption, ladies and gentlemen, you know that's what it is. It's for G.I. Joe. Well, Ryan, we've gone on and on enough. But let's get into this episode. No, this is great. So today's episode is called Granny Dearest. It is not a great episode, but it is crazy and funny, and we're going to have a good time with it.
Sounds good.
Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So here we go. Yeah, so this is the like second season intro.
Okay.
So we've got that's a Destro Iron Grenadier ship, which is you had the gold Destro Iron Grenadier. Yeah. So that's like would have been your era Destro. And all kinds of different types of Vipers, like alley Vipers and laser Vipers and stuff like that. It's hard for me to keep track in real time. I end up having to watch it and then Google it and go, okay, who is this guy? But what you do have, and actually, this is the third episode I think of this season that we're doing. They've definitely, one of the limitations they had with the budget on the show is that they've definitely limited the roster. Where the other one had so many voice actors, or at least you had actors doing so many different styles voices. The episode would have, every other episode would have totally different people. Like the only real stalwarts were like Flint, Lady J, Bazooka, Alpine, things like that. But then they would, Shipwreck. But they would always pepper in a couple new guys each one. Not so much on this season. Okay. Like this season, it really focuses on like the main 6 or 7 Joes and like the same 3 or 4 Cobras.
Right.
It's a little, at least so far. I may be completely wrong by the time we get to the next one. We're in Chicago, everybody. And here's the deal. This guy's name's Pathfinder, okay? His name is Pathfinder. He's the G.I. Joe tracker. His job is to get people places. And the joke here is that I can find my way in the jungle, but Chicago is crazy. Have you ever spent time in Chicago, Ryan?
No, I have not.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
Born and raised. Chicago is widely known as the easiest city in the world to get around because it is 100% a grid.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Chicago, like Vegas is a grid too.
Chicago is completely a grid. There is a lake that you always can use for navigating, so you can find what way is north or south. Always. You can always look in the sky and see where the buildings stop, and you go, oh, that's a giant lake. That means that's east. Therefore, I go north. It's a grid. If you go far enough in one direction, you find where you're going. Yeah. There are 4 or 5 streets that go in like a spread diagonal pattern that head out to the suburbs, like major streets. I'm not talking about like the highway system, but like roads like Archer Avenue and Southwest Highway and Manheim. It is the easiest city in the world to get around in. The fact that Pathfinder should be ashamed of himself is what I'm saying. Like, if he's in Boston and he says that, I get it.
Totally,
Boston's crazy.
Boston's insane, yeah.
He's in Chicago, which is, but that's great, though. I'm not going to look gift horse in the mouth. I love that we're in Chicago first. Yeah. They've been in Chicago before. The last time, if I recall, was an episode where, I forget the exact name, but giant plants were growing, like giant bean legumes. There was this Cobra growth formula, and plants were growing out of control. So plants were like beans, sprouts were popping like weapons and hitting buildings in Chicago. Yeah,
Super Mario version.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh boy,
this is the titular granny. That is Metalhead.
Oh my gosh!
And his grandma.
This is amazing.
Has joined the show. And she couldn't be more stereotypically cartoon.
She's very much like my grandmother.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Your grandma is ex-military?
She's ex-military.
For real?
Yeah. No, she doesn't. That'd be amazing if she was.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. She just sort of looks like her then.
That's funny. Yeah, so Metalhead's grandma is ex-military. They don't exactly say what country. Maybe it's Filecard. I don't think I've done Metalhead's Filecard yet. If not, we'll do it this episode. She knocks down a Skyhawk with her laundry.
That's hay.
Like,
she's actually more successful than most of the Cobra shots.
Yeah. Her laundry is more potent than a laser.
Yeah,
is what we're learning. But real quick though, that Skyhawk is kind of cool. That's part of the Skyforce. And I had to look this up because I'm like, why is this Skyhawk white? They released chrome versions.
Oh, cool.
Of in like 90 or 89, chrome versions of a bunch of the planes and stuff. They called them Skyforce. And so they were like, the draw was, chrome plated Skyhawk. And so they did the Skyhawk. And I think they might have done like the Conquest. And there was one other airplane. or air vehicle. And then they did the Havoc. You said you had cross country.
Yes.
You drove the Havoc.
Yeah. It was.
And you remember the Havoc?
Yes.
It was green and it was boxy.
Yeah.
And the back had a little hovercraft thing that could pop out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it had a hovercraft, it was then included in the Skyforce. So on first glance, you see it's called Skyforce and it's a giant tank.
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing I remember, like there was like the seat for driving. It was on top of it.
Oh, and in the front.
Yeah, it was like the rest of it's all armored, and then they put the driver on top.
Yeah.
In the most vulnerable position.
Yeah, there actually is a canopy with seat for two people to sit. But
exactly.
Not cross
him.
country.
No, they'll be fine once the driver gets killed.
Well, he's got the Confederate buckle.
Right.
So that's going to stop
like the
all
weird,
bullets.
and that little hat.
Yeah.
Totally.
But so somehow that vehicle got included in a force called Skyforce.
That's hysterical.
And chrome plated.
I think I lost that hovercraft thing in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it was gone quick. I was like,
that is a new joke called something like, what is it? Hold on, I have notes here.
Okay.
Because I couldn't remember his name. Of course I didn't write his name out. He's the new Joe paratrooper. He's the only new Joe introduced on the show. His name's like Freefall, I think, or something like that. But that's Naugahyde.
No, I know.
He's
got the Kraven the Hunter kind of thing going on.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like Kraven the Hunter and Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
Met, married, had a child, and produced Naugahyde.
You, the commander of Cobra?
This also, this part is funny though, that Metalhead convinced his grandma that he's the leader of Cobra.
Yep. I actually had the Viper characters though.
Oh, yeah?
I had that. I actually liked those. Those were cool.
Nice.
I remember. Now it's fun. This is like I had that guy. I think I had Naugahyde.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I think
I think I had
this
some.
is your.
I
your
think
era.
Metalhead's rockets actually fired, right?
They might have.
Yeah.
Metalhead's got the most grating personality on this new show.
Yeah, he's a little like Starscream guy thing.
Yeah, but even like wacky for wacky's sake, and it kind of breaks the show a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got a fun design.
Yeah,
I guess
totally.
Although with all that hair is going to get singed by those rockets zooming past.
So if memory serves, this takes place after the movie, right?
Yes.
So that's why Cobra Commander looks the way he does, because he got turned into like a snake, and now this is like him being turned back.
They cover that in the 5-part opening. Do you remember how they did the 5-part miniseries to open the series all the time?
Yes.
Like back for the original ones too. And this one was called Operation Dragonfire.
Okay.
And in the beginning of it, he was still a snake, and Serpentor kept him in like a little globe as a pet. And Baroness broke him out and used that Dragonfire to morph him back into a human, but he still looked scaly and reptilian. So then he gets this armor.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So underneath that armor, he's
where's
still.
Serpentor? What happened to him?
He got devolved into like an iguana creature, and I don't think we see him ever again.
He was the best, man.
Well,
Yes, I command.
Oh, he was great. And what's really funny is the episode that he gets devolved. So now he's an animal, and Naugahyde is a poacher. So Naugahyde's first instinct is, let's eat him. And I'm like, dude, he was just a human being. Like that's still cannibalism.
Nope.
Like that's a little much even for a dreadnought, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're ready to roll.
So Cobra, they were trying to steal the MacGuffin of the episode. It's the various.
It's a maglev train.
Yeah, it's a maglev. Yeah, and they
Okay.
need the maglev device. And that's what Cobra's trying to steal.
Okay.
So that's but that's just the MacGuffin to deal with Grandma Ma telling him what's up.
Yeah, and apparently she's making soup. I love that Cobra Commander was like, let's just eat the soup.
Yeah. So we're gonna go to commercial and be right back.
We shall never surrender.
Today's Filecard features on the Cobra Terrordrome Firebat pilot, codename A.V.A.C. Piloting a Firebat is somewhat akin to strapping yourself onto a cannonball. The cockpit is cramped by any standard and utterly lacking in even the kindest amenities. No engine status display, no weather instruments, no navigation aids, and no ejection seat. Just the basic flight panel, throttle, pedals, and stick. But after the initial high G's of vertical takeoff, the Firebat levels out to being the fastest, most responsive single-seat fighter in the Cobra arsenal. Quote, A.V.A.C. pilots are drawn from the Air Viper pool. They must be capable of complex mental calculations to make up for lack of onboard computers, and absolutely fearless to cope with the Firebat's basic, unforgiving nature. The aircraft is not what you would call user-friendly. Surprisingly, there is no lack of recruits for the program. All the best fighter jocks want to ride on the Pocket Rocket. It's funny, on this initial file card, they don't actually say what A.V.A.C. stands for. It's an acronym. But later on, apparently, it officially stands for Air Viper Advanced Class. I love this figure because primarily he came with the Terrordrome. The Terrordrome was, when you get out of the like USS Flag size playsets, probably the coolest playset that G.I. Joe ever put out. Circular in nature. They had weapons bays and opening doors on all, literally 360 degrees around it. There was something to do in every aspect of it. You could sit with 2 or 3 people and everyone could like have a corner of it and still have your own space to play. There were places to hide other vehicles within it. Certainly the Firebat was in the middle, which came up and down on a ramp. Like, the Terrordrome was awesome. And so the Firebat that went inside, also very cool. They used the Firebat a lot on the TV show, actually. They used it for single getaway planes. You know, it sort of replaced the Rattler a little bit. When they would need a plane to get Cobra in and out and stuff, they would just pull up in a Firebat. He's got a really good look to him. He's red and silver with black gloves and black boots. A nice black Cobra insignia on him. And what's great, he actually did come with an accessory. He came with a parachute, plastic one that wrapped over his head and around his waist. They did 2 versions of it in '86, and they did one in 2008, actually a third one in 2015. And the 2015 one, they changed the look quite a bit. They gave him a black costume, which kind of looks sweet. He actually looks a little more robotic for some reason in the black versus the red, where he's just kind of wearing a jumpsuit. So very cool. If you had an A.V.A.C, that meant you had a Terrordrome. So to the A.V.A.C Firebat pilot, we salute you.
Got to get top G.I. Joe.
Yeah, that high-tech CG G.I. Joe intro right there.
I missed the original song, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I know I'm probably all nostalgia, but
No. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But you know, they were looking to refresh it. You know,
that was my favorite thing about the movie, was that the fact that it opened with a Cobra song, and I was just like, who would, like, imagine if in the real world they were like, all right, guys, we need a song.
Yeah. Well, that movie opening is
amazing.
one of the greatest.
Oh yeah, the
of
animation's
anything
fantastic
of all time. Yeah. And the song is great.
Yeah.
It's like it is wonderful.
Yeah, it's
like
pretty great.
That is just, you could play that on a loop forever. We did a movie recording here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We had like 12, 13 people in the room. We had a bunch of mics set up, and we
awesome.
rotated people on the mic for it. And you could still hear it you can still go to our feed on Joe on Joe and hear the movie episode. I believe it launched. I believe it was recent, in like around December.
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back. Yeah,
and it's a massive dive.
Yeah, because my favorite Joe was on the Mercer. I loved that.
Oh,
I loved the former Viper, and like Slaughter's Marauders were cool. Like, I liked all 3 of them. They were great.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Granny here is really helping Cobra. Like, she's legit stopping G.I. Joe, and she jumps a bunch of water from like a water tower.
Looks like pudding.
It does look like pudding.
Yeah.
It looks like the goo that they would use to make synthoids with. But she is agile. She just jumped onto that train. So there's your Captain Gridiron.
Okay.
So there's your football player.
Yeah. This is amazing if this is the one they win. If this is the one where Cobra wins, and it was all because of
Granny.
Metalhead's grandmother, that'd
Absolutely.
be fantastic.
Absolutely Granny's responsibility.
So wait, that's not how trains work.
No, but it's maglev.
Well,
so
yeah,
I think no, I know that. And you
okay,
know that. Okay, but they listen. They look at the geography. They get that right though. It's Chicago, so there's a massive look. There's the Sears Tower.
Yep.
Like, they get some geography.
And
Okay, now wait.
But great is those guys decided that we're just going to keep going. Yeah.
So now it's operating like a hoverboard from Back to the Future. That is insane.
Those don't walk on water.
The Joes are chasing in a Retaliator. That's the plane. That's the helicopter that they're in. That's the new guy they introduced.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Now he's masquerading. It's actually the second time in his many episodes that G.I. Joe's masqueraded as Cobra Vipers.
It is one of the downfalls of having a bunch of grunts that have helmets on.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
Star Wars is like, that's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
You just sort of, it's a big security issue.
Yeah, completely.
This is why they have them all the bad normal Cobras dressed as crazy ostentatious characters, because there's no way you can copy that.
Right.
You can't copy Naga hiding and sneak in.
No, you can't. You can't. That's why. Yeah, it's why Joes are all. But Joes have green shirts too. But they don't. But their faces are.
Yeah,
open.
exactly. Yeah.
Their faces are. It's funny. Oh, there's your full plated gold Destro.
Yeah.
And the Cobra have.
Did you ever use his actual vehicle? The soaring platforming
I think it might
thing?
be in the opening. I think we see a glimpse of it. Yeah, we might see a glimpse of it in the opening. I feel like he just stole that from Serpentor.
Probably did.
He saw that look and was like, "That's a good look."
Yeah, and he was like, "That guy." He probably just repainted it. It was like, hey, he's a
Yeah. And so here's Grandma, and I just love her look. She's wearing a military suit with a grandma like flower dress. And she's from some like European country or something. And so she's got this like Russian block, like like ex-KGB accent.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the accent is. Yeah.
I still want to get my commendation from the Destro fellow.
Destro fellow.
I wish you'd been on the show permanently. This has been fantastic.
I want to know this. Has anyone cosplayed as her?
Oh, somebody
I'll bet you
has.
people have gone to
yeah.
Joe convention.
That would be
as
amazing
Granny.
as Granny.
Listen, if you're listening to this and you know that someone's cosplayed as Granny, please, please, please send me a picture on Twitter.
Yeah.
Send
I'm going to be
it
at Comic-Con this year.
Joe
We'll
and
be
Joe
looking
Pod.
for you.
Oh, my God, please. That would be amazing.
Yes.
So we were doing the Transformers Joe crossover episode, and when the Transformers got morphed into being humans, they all had a look, and Matt Kyle said, "Oh yeah, people cosplay as the Transformers as humans."
People? That's awesome.
Because they have like color specific jumpsuits and everything. And he goes, "Oh, they totally show up in cosplay as that." So I hope someone's done Granny. That would just be too much.
I can see it now, Destro. By tomorrow.
So this would have been happening during
be renamed
not Mayor Daley, but I think Harold Washington might have been mayor at this point in time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Harold Washington might have been mayor. So this would have been like 89, 90. I feel like Harold Washington wasn't paying attention to like Cobra set up a base on Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
They would have been about a year away from the Great Flood of Chicago. Do you know about the Chicago Flood? Everyone knows about the fire. Do you know about the flood? It took place around 91, 92.
No.
They were drilling along the Chicago River, and they were doing some work on it. And someone punctured something, and there's you know Chicago's got like lower whacker, upper whacker.
Yeah.
There's like a sub level to most buildings in downtown Chicago.
Right.
And someone popped through that, and the river followed suit.
Oh, wow.
And flooded all the basements of these major buildings, Stock Exchange, like Macy's, like these, all these buildings that have these sub levels. We're going to commercial. I'll be right back. Hey, listeners, I'm not sure if you've heard the news, but Joe and Joe has started a Patreon, and I'm inviting you along for the ride. Go to patreon.com/JoeandJoePod and check out my page. Right now, there are 2 opportunities for you to help support the show. You can choose to be a grunt or a viper. Grunts get access to all the Joe and Joe episodes and early access to new episodes as they're created. Vipers get all that and access to my all-new spin-off podcast, Joe on Joe Illustrated, where I will be breaking down every single issue of the G.I. Joe comic books, page by page, in the deepest dive you'll ever hear on G.I. Joe. So go to patreon.com/JoeOnJoePod and see what's happening over at the Fort Wadsworth Motor Pool. We'll see you there.
Got to get tough, G.I. Joe!
They got flooded. All these buildings got flooded, and for real, it was a real emergency.
Oh wow!
It was weird. I remember we were sitting in I was in a high school class, and they broke in with the news. They're like, "Chicago's flooding," and it wasn't raining. It wasn't like rainwater flood. It's because someone punched a hole, and they were first they had to figure out what was happening. They're like, "There's something going on," and this was obviously pre 9/11 terrorism,
right.
But they were like, we don't know. Did someone attack Chicago? Like, what is going on? And they ended up being a museum exhibit about it. That's how massive it was.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
wow.
like you could go in there and it would really detail all the elements of it. It's crazy if you read about it.
That's so nuts.
Yeah.
When we do on Revolution, we were doing this whole research about like what would happen to all the major cities if I had that dude in the back, the blue guy, whoever that guy is. The guy on the right.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know who that character was, but I loved him because you could see his brain was part of his helmet.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I have these guys. I mean, that's a little cheap on the animation.
Yeah, the animation is a little rough. It's a little hard.
Like we just in Revolution discovered that like if all the power went out immediately, right? Like like almost every city that is below sea level would flood within because they're constantly pumping the water out. So all the pumps would thing. Like New York floods in like 24 hours.
Really?
And I have a feeling I think Chicago would as well.
Chicago was built on swampland.
Exactly. So they would they constantly are pumping the water. So if the batteries failed,
it
would 24 hours. Yeah,
that's so
that
crazy.
That should have been what they should be doing in this episode is attacking the batteries.
So let's talk real quick about Revolution. So you worked on the show. It was 2 years. What did knock the power out?
It was a big surprise in season. I think we had it like halfway through season 1. Was that it was nanotechnology? The idea is that nanotechnology had sort of swept across the entire world and basically was absorbing all of electricity. So that's why nothing worked. That's why batteries wouldn't hold any charge because it was working. It just wouldn't. These little nanites were just sucking up all the energy.
Got it.
So that's why no electricity worked. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I was on that show from the beginning. I was there. I was on the show when Eric Kripke came in and pitched it. I helped design the logo and did the pitch document for when the series. And I went on the show as a writer assistant. I wrote an episode.
Well,
and
it's a great logo because the Zero uses the power.
That was
button.
mine.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a really smart idea.
Yeah. So we did that. I was through it. I was on the show all the way through the end of the second season, and then when we got canceled, they were like, "Hey, we people want to know what happened at the end because we never got to finish it." They're like, "We'll do a comic book," and I was like, "Well, I've written comics," so they let me and David Reed, who's the other writer, who's a writer on Magicians now. We wrote the finale of the show as a comic book.
Oh, that's great.
So I was there from the beginning all the way to the end.
That's so cool. And what were the cliffhangers? And I didn't follow the show.
No, it's all right.
But what were the cliffhangers that you had to wrap up? Was it like, did they solve it? Did they ever fix the
we'd
nano
set up
problem?
this like one city in the middle of Utah that I think it was called, it was named after it was called Bradbury.
Yeah. Awesome.
It was like Bradbury, Utah or something like that. It was like this one town that had power because the nanites had become sentient from sucking up all the power and they were like becoming this god. And so we had our heroes have to go to that town to like fight all of these people who had sort of given over their souls to have power again. They're like, I want my TV and my air conditioning, and so I will be a minion of you. And so we had to fight them, and it was a big battle, and people sacrificed themselves. And then and the cool thing is we got to sort of like say what happened for the next 20 years after that.
Like a text piece.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That's what I was thinking about comics. Because it's so great. Is you just show one image and some captions, and you can really fill a lot of story in there.
So funny. We cover that. Actually, we covered that on Joe and Joe Illustrated on our Patreon podcast. Comics is 100% about time travel. It's about controlling the flow of time. Yeah. What happens in one panel, you can have the Big Bang in one panel, and then you can have the heat, death, entropy of the universe in the other panel, and literally in that gutter, everything just happened.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, all that took place in between those two panels.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to tell which part of that you want to, you play with time and give as much. There's no budget.
Oh yeah, I mean,
say whatever you want.
It's hard. I mean, the difference between writing TV, you're writing time, and when you're reading comics, you're writing space.
Yeah.
Because everything, like when you have a fight in a TV show, it's 3 swings. Or you shoot it, it's like three punches, and it's really fast, right? But 3 punches in a comic book is half a page.
Yeah.
So you just got to, and you can have a whole conversation in the same amount of 3 punches. It's really it's a whole different muscle to learn how to use. Yeah.
So one of the things that we do on the show, Ryan, is we ask our guests if they could be a member of the Joe or Cobra team. What would they be, and who would they be? And I have a feeling you actually have an answer to this.
I do. I am a Joe. People don't know that. I actually am. I have a character. So I think like in 86 or 87 maybe, they had this mail-in order for a thing called Steel Brigade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could basically, I don't know how much it was, like $3 or $4 or something like that. And like
super
3
cheap, yeah.
And like
and maybe some flag points.
Yeah, some flag points.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So you had to send those in. And so I was like, I'm doing this. And you could pick like what version you wanted to be. Like, do you want to be a martial artist or a loner or like a captain or all these things, right? And the most important thing was you had to come up with a name. And so I spent so much time coming up with a name. And I came up with a name.
Yeah.
And it was Dearest. Because I'd heard on a cop show, it was like, he's under duress. And I was like, duress sounds cool.
I want everyone under me.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, not knowing what, as a 7-year-old, not knowing what duress actually meant.
At the end of your first date, you're under duress.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, it means like frustration, right?
Yeah,
or like,
yeah.
I should know exactly. Anyway, so I had that name. But when I read the actual form, it says use up to 14 letters, and not understanding what that meant, I thought that meant I had to use all 14 letters. So I was like, I wrote Ninja Laser Man. So I am Ninja Laser Man of Steel Brigade. Yeah, but I did get the figure.
Well, I think it's your turn to rectify that, because that's your Steel Brigade figure.
It's
right now you remember Joe on Joe.
I'm now a member of Joe, and my name is Dearest, and I'm a loner who has kung fu skills.
You're a loner with kung fu skills. That's your specialty.
You know what? Cool. They should have let you pick you should have been able to get like an animal too.
Oh yeah. Well, let's give you an animal. We give animals on Joe and Joe.
Man.
Oh, we give animals. I have a.
Who's yours?
Oh, well, so mine. I'm deep dish. And I'm a heavy machine gunner, and my accessory is I come with a deep dish pizza. That's my accessory.
Could it be like you should have a pizza box shield?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Totally.
It's my shield. It's totally my shield. Yeah, 100% that. My wife is Toilet Teal. She's the Cobra cleaning lady. We've had the CE Joe, the guy who's like the CEO of G.I. Joe, makes sure all the numbers work.
That's
right.
awesome.
We've got Cobra propagandas. We've got people, because my friends are writers and they're everything, so they use so
like who's the Cobra like interior design guys who's like, we need a throne that looks like a giant snake.
Oh my gosh, I think someone chose that.
Oh really?
I think there was someone on the show that said they would help Cobra design that. I'm sorry that I'm blanking on, but that sounds really familiar. We have the Cobra special.
Did he just leave his grandmother?
We have the Cobra SAC, the special assistant to Cobra Commander.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of these covered. So welcome to the Joe team.
Yeah, Joe team. I know.
Welcome to the Joe team, Dearest.
Yeah, it's Dearest.
All these years, we're finally able to rectify your mistake.
Thank you. You just fixed my childhood.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're welcome, Ryan Parrott. You're welcome.
By the way, who's in charge of G.I. Joe? You seem like good fellows.
So
but
Granny,
I have a few ideas about
Chicago's on fire.
I'd like to
She
share
just
with
salted them for
Lord
half the episode, and now I guess she's
yeah,
on
now
their
she
side.
just wants to hang out.
G.I. Joe will be right back.
Like that's So that was it. I mean, I'm glad that we talked about other more interesting things than a grandmama foiling the Joe team.
It's pretty good writing.
Yeah,
to be honest. They were thinking outside the box in this episode.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Granny's. That's Granny troubles.
Yeah. I have this weird feeling I'm gonna be at Comic-Con this year, and I'm gonna see somebody dressed up as that, and I'm gonna know who that is, and I'm gonna freak out my fiance. She's gonna be like, "What?"
It's gonna be like, I'm
Granny.
calling this off.
Yeah, that's Metal Granny. Yeah.
So this inspired you? You gonna watch some more G.I. Joe cartoons?
I think so. Yeah, or steal these action figures you got here. No,
Yeah.
No,
Totally.
yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch. I'm gonna go back. And watch
We're
the movie
recording
for sure.
from a private, secluded bunker.
No, man, it's just so cool to watch. Like, it's amazing how they. I don't remember the season. And then I was watching. I was like, oh yeah, I do remember this season. So
Yeah, you would have been watching these if
Yeah.
those were the figures you had.
Yeah.
Absolutely would have been seen.
Oh, D.I.C.
Yeah, they're saying that. Do it cheap. Do it cheap.
Clever.
So, man, Ryan Parrott, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you,
dude. This
man.
was really great. I really enjoyed this.
This was great. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Listeners, make sure you go out there and read Go Power Rangers. Read it now, and definitely follow the big crossover, Shattered Grid with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yep, it should come out in end of March, and it's celebrating the Power Rangers 25th anniversary.
It's great. That's right around when this episode will drop, so
Perfect.
they should just be hearing it. So, happy birthday, happy anniversary, Power Rangers. And Ryan, thanks so much for being on Joe on Joe.
Thank you.
And now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.